Hey, what if our anxiety, our stress, our worry, frustration, depression, all of our negative thoughts and emotions and feelings, what if they're not things that we should aim to get rid of? Or what if they're not things that we should try to avoid by numbing and distracting ourselves? Or what if they're not problems to be fixed somewhere out there by changing the things in our lives, the people, the places, the situations? But what if all of those negative feelings and emotions and thoughts, what if they're like the dashboard on our car, the signs and the signals that are directing us to turn within, like we need an internal tune-up or some routine maintenance, but not by fixing anything out there, but by fixing what's going on inside of us? What if the solution to the stress in our lives is not doing anything out there, but instead returning to ourselves and doing the inner work? My name is Ed Hegan. I'm a former New York City firefighter and a mindfulness, meditation, and breathwork guide. And I came to this work after going through my own healing journey. I guide people to manage stress and find inner peace by understanding their emotions and learning how to regulate their nervous system. Because I was someone that, when I was going through really stressful times, personally and professionally, kept looking for the solution outside of myself. Unhealthy habits that spilled out over into the rest of my life, destroying my relationships, my health, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I almost didn't make it out alive. And so I had to go on the journey of figuring out a solution, and it forced me to turn inward and to look in the mirror and recognize that part of the reason I was suffering so greatly in life was because I was reacting. I was reacting from a place of being hypervigilant, on edge, being in a constant state of fight or flight. And I was trained to be that way. I was trained to respond to emergencies and to help other people that were facing their worst nightmare. But I was so reactive that I didn't know how to regulate my nervous system. I didn't know how to calm the storms within. And it really had such a profoundly negative impact on my health and wellness that I had no choice but to try to escape the pain. And when I tried to escape the pain outside by numbing and distracting or thinking that the problem was out there somewhere, I continued to suffer until I turned inward and realized that I needed to look in the mirror and I needed to do the inner work. And so I just wanted to share some of these insights to help you if you're feeling that overwhelm, if you're carrying a lot of stress and tension, if you're feeling like a lot of the things going on in your world are problematic, and if that suffering is having a profoundly negative effect on your physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual well-being, then it might be a good opportunity to think about looking within, thinking about turning the focus of where we think the solution to our problem is from outward into the outer world to other people, situations, and circumstances, and instead direct that focus inward. And I want to talk a little bit about the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind drives and creates a lot of our thoughts and behaviors. And we often wonder, like, where do our thoughts come from? Where do our feelings come from? Well, our thoughts are programmed by the subconscious mind. And if our subconscious mind is constantly being programmed by what we focus on, if we take the thoughts that are provided by the subconscious mind and we continue to replay them over and over, we'll just continue to reprogram the subconscious mind. But if we can recognize that what we focus on programs the subconscious mind, we can then shift our energy and change the focus of our thoughts to reprogram the subconscious mind in a healthier way. But you can't cheat it. You can't fake those feelings. And so the only way to reprogram the subconscious mind with directing our focus is to have the thoughts and the feelings that we have be real, true, and authentic. And we do that by changing our physical state. And this would imply the difference between the top-down approach or the bottom-up approach. Now, the top-down approach is thinking that we can outthink or overthink our way out of a problem and figure out a solution by thinking with the clever, intelligent, rational mind. And the bottom-up approach is one in which we recognize that if we use the power of our breath to bring calm, grounded relaxation to our physical body, it will also relax our brains. And when our brain is relaxed and we feel a little bit more peace, we feel more grounded, we feel more relaxed and at ease, then the thoughts that come from there can reprogram the subconscious mind. So this is not about positive thinking so much. This is about emotional regulation using the physiology of our breath. And if we want, we can just use a little simple exercise right now. We can recognize that when we are in a state of agitation or stress, our brains and our bodies are going to be very reactive and on overdrive. But if we can relax the body through the power of the breath, the parts of the brain that are sending off this smoke alarm, this signal of danger, will also reduce. And then our thoughts won't be so anxious as well. So what we can do is we can use these powerfully grounding breaths by exhaling all the air out of our lungs and then inhaling slowly through the nose and filling our belly. And slowly releasing. Again, inhale slowly through the nose and fill your belly. Slowly release. Letting go of any of that stress and tension. Try it a few more times while you continue to listen. Inhale slowly through the nose. Slowly release. Just continue to breathe like that. And as we breathe through the nose into the belly, we use our diaphragm instead of breathing thoracically, like if we were in fight or flight. If we were sensing danger, we would breathe very short and shallow from the chest. But when we're in a state of relaxation, when we're in a state of ease and calm, if you watch a baby or a dog sleeping, you'll see they breathe through the nose and fill the belly. And just breathing slow like that will calm the body down. The cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones drop. Feelings of wellness can rise. And the brain will calm down. The amygdala, which is like the fire alarm, will just slowly dampen down. And this will just calm us and relax us. Just enough to realize you're safe. Nothing is wrong in this moment. We can accept everything as it is in this moment right now. There's nothing broken. There's nothing to be done. Nothing to be fixed. Nothing to be controlled. You are whole and complete, just as you are. And when we start to be in a state of relaxation from breathing, and we can remind ourselves that we're safe and that there is no immediate danger right now, we're already starting to reprogram our subconscious mind. This reprogramming will then create more thoughts. So instead of having this negative mirroring feedback loop of negative emotions, I'm scared, things are falling apart, I'm not loved, I'm not worthy, I'm not whole, I'm not complete, what's gonna happen? The monkey mind going crazy, thinking about all the things that happened yesterday, what I shoulda, coulda, woulda done, all the things I'm worried about that might happen tomorrow. They can calm down, and we can instead have thoughts that we are safe, that it's okay, that we can handle whatever life throws at us. And when we start to inhabit our body and connect to our body in the present moment from a place of feeling grounded, relaxed, healthy, and whole, we are reprogramming our subconscious to have a positive feedback loop instead of a negative feedback loop. And this is true power. This is the work. This is how we fix the so-called problems in our lives. Not by trying to control other people, situations, circumstances, but by controlling the one thing that we can control: how we choose to respond to the stress in our lives. And this is really powerful stuff that I was never taught. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I was taught, like, if I would cry or get upset or have negative feelings, I would told, well, I'll give you something to cry about. And I was threatened with physical violence or made fun of or teased for being weak or for being a wuss. And that can also have a powerful effect on forcing us to kind of shove down and repress our emotions in a way that can just create an unhealthy relationship with our feelings. And so if we can simply breathe deeply and allow ourselves to feel our feelings, let yourself feel your sadness. Let yourself feel your fear. Let yourself feel the frustration, the hurt, the pain, the loss, the sorrow, the grief, all of it. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with feeling those feelings. It simply makes you a human being. Just as we have feelings of joy, celebration, satisfaction, excitement, we also have sadness, grief, fear, loss, and pain. And the aim should not be to get rid of any of these states, but to embrace the fullness of who we are as human beings. Because there's nothing wrong with having all those feelings. They're not bad. They're not things that we should aim to get rid of. They're things that we can embrace and learn that, like we mentioned about the signals and signs on the dashboard, they can show us where we're not free. They can show us where we can do the work to release ourselves from the prison of this idea of who we think we are. And so when we start to realize that a lot of the feelings that we've never allowed ourselves to feel can actually be really helpful for us to be healthier human beings, we then recognize that the very emotions that we wanted to get rid of, the very things that we try to hide, the very things that we attempt to repress and suppress are actually gifts. They are signs. They are indicators to show us and help us, to give us lessons about how we can deepen our connection with ourselves, the present moment, and other people. Because when we're in a state of stress, we're caught up in the mind. We're in fear. We're sensing for danger. We're scanning the environment for a perceived threat. But when we realize there's no danger, there's nothing wrong, there's no threat, you're okay, you're safe, now we get to be more present, more connected to ourselves, more connected to the present moment. And if someone enters our space, a friend, a neighbor, could be, the cashier at the grocery store, we can become more connected to them. We can become more open-hearted, open-minded. And then life becomes more of a celebration because we're not being controlled by our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, or our negative states, but we're processing them, we're understanding them, we're reading the signs, we're feeling the feelings, we're releasing them as we breathe and let ourselves feel them, and then we integrate the lesson. We can learn that when certain things happen, they can trigger us. They can trigger an old wound and an old pattern of us feeling maybe abandoned, unworthy, or unloved. And we can give ourselves the very things that we think are some sort of danger outside of us. We can give ourselves the love, the connection, the affection, the acceptance, all the things that we wanted from our caretakers when we were young, all the things we felt we needed that we weren't given. As adults, we can now give them to ourselves. And this process is also powerful because when we stop blaming other people for our problems and our feelings, we actually take our power back. And we start to become responsible for what we're thinking and feeling. And that's a really empowering thing because we realize that instead of grasping for some solution out there, trying to change other people, which we're never going to do, change how other people feel, or how they act, or what they think, or what they do, we're never going to be able to do that. So what it does is it draws our power back and it taps us into the only power we've ever really had. Our ability to choose how we respond to any stimuli, any situation. Instead of reacting negatively, we get to choose a healthy response. And that is a state that is really powerful when we realize that we are the ones that get to determine how we respond to any situation in our life. So this is a great opportunity to recognize that the negative states we carry in our hearts and our minds, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, don't get rid of them. Don't bypass them. Don't overlook them. Don't pour booze on them. Don't numb and distract with screens and all the stuff, the shopping, addiction, success, making money, all the things outside of us. Stop. Turn within. Return to yourself. Breathe deeply. Use the divine power of your breath to relax your body. Calm your mind. Focus your thoughts on reminding yourself of all the positive states of being safe, of being loved, of knowing that you have the strength and resilience to handle whatever life throws at you. Create a mirroring feedback loop of positive thoughts instead of negative ones by programming that subconscious through focusing our attention from a relaxed place by breathing. And in that way, we start to manifest. I know that word is very like hippy-dippy, but we really do manifest because if you're in a more relaxed and peaceful state, and you speak from a more relaxed and peaceful state, and you make decisions from that state, the quality of our external life is going to change. Our relationship with other people is going to change. Our relationship with maybe things that we do professionally, deals that we make, or new opportunities are going to change because we're changing our internal state. As Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Be it. Become it. But you're not going to outthink it or overthink your way out of it. We have to recognize that the power is within our ability to regulate our emotions through the power of our breath. And when we start doing that, our subconscious thoughts change. Our conscious thoughts change. Our feeling state changes. And we take our power back and our life changes. And don't be so hard on yourself because, look, we've been programmed from the time that we were born. And so this is going to take a long time to figure out how to reprogram ourselves and our thoughts and our emotions. It's going to happen day by day, moment by moment. So if you recognize yourself in a negative state, just acknowledge it. Be gentle and kind and compassionate with yourself. Tap into the power of your breath. Breathe deeply into the belly. Don't look out there for a solution. Don't numb. Don't distract. Turn inward. Breathe deeply. Feel your feelings. Honor yourself. These emotions that we've been given are gifts. They're signs. They're lessons. Let's learn the lesson instead of creating more pain. And let's make the changes necessary to our lives so we can improve the quality of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health and well-being. And then we get to share that with other people on our path in life, which I truly believe that's our life purpose. As Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home. Start by walking yourself home. Start by being kind, compassionate, loving, forgiving, accepting of yourself. And as we practice this kind of self-care, it's not a selfish thing. It allows us to show up in our lives as the best version of ourselves, personally and professionally, in every way. And so I encourage you to consider the possibility that of all the beings in the universe that deserve your love, you're one of them, as the Buddha said. So give yourself that loving kindness and compassion and forgiveness. Become the version of yourself that you needed when you were a kid, when you didn't have that person in your life to love you and treat you with the kindness and compassion you needed to feel safe. And give that to yourself. And then share that gift with other people. And so when we recognize this as an opportunity to grow and really take sovereignty and take our power back and become the person that we needed when we were younger, it's a powerful way to transform ourselves. So take care of yourself and each other.